Is up, and my dear friend, a really good friend indeed, and a very bright young brain, young mind I would say, not brain, because there's a world of difference between the brain and the mind. Bhushan, whom I quote wherever I go, tell the younger generation to motivate them, because he's doing really some good work. And my brothers and sisters of Pune. It's very nice seeing all of you, because I know Pune people are very intelligent, very critical, very good, very receptive to what you have to say. Over the years, I have learned two things. A, to clearly say that integrative medicine is not anti-Western medicine. Because a lot of people think, oh, he is a quack, he doesn't know what he is talking about. No. Medicine or the medical sciences are meant to heal, H-E-A-L. And there's nothing to do with health. Health is completely out with the domain of doctors, hospitals, nurses, and things like that. Actually, a 14 countries, industrialized countries study showed where there are more doctors per capita, more hospitals, and more specialists, there's more death, less health, and less longevity. I'm not joking. I'm seriously telling you. This 14 country study is a very exhaustive study. And there is a study done by the WHO in Thailand years ago, I think about 40 years ago, where in Thailand, Bangkok they took, there are about 5 systems of medicine concurrently working. Pure Western medicine, as we call as medicine, then pure Chinese medicine, integrated Chinese Western medicine, then Samoa system, where the father tells the son when he is dying as to how he should treat his patients, and it goes on generation-wise. And the last is of quackery. And they did a study prospectively for 5 years, very well controlled study, which showed collectively at the end that all systems of medicine, mark my words, all systems of medicine were equally effective on society. This was 40 years ago. People are nonplussed. People said, oh, something wrong. No, now we know everything is right. Actually, that was very, very right. You would be surprised to know doctors went on strike in several countries over the last 25 years. Different times. Saskatchewan in Canada for 3 months, 25 years ago. Bogota in Colombia for 3 months, about 20 years ago. Los Angeles County 15 years ago. Israel recently, about 2 years ago. And Dublin, so about 5 years ago. Each one of these places, now audit shows in retrospect, when doctors went on strike and nurses ran the hospital, death rate almost fell down precipitously. I'm not joking. I'm seriously telling you. Whatever I say here, even a word is not outside the realm of what you think is science. I don't think that is science, but you think it is science. So I'm telling you scientific quote-unquote evidence. In reductionist science, that's our science today. Our evidence is very interesting. I had a slide. If I wish I had the slide. Now global warming, right? Scientifically global warming. Yes? 72, I was for 6 months or so, I was in London for some, I had to stand in for someone. My boss was going somewhere, so I had to go there. And that winter was 1 month longer. 72, I'm talking of 1972, as recent as that. And there was sleet for about 4 months on the ground. Nothing grew, not a blade of grass grew. And there was so much of hue and cry saying that we are in for an ice age very soon. It continued for 10 years. Suddenly, ice age gave place to warming. And we have evidence, so-called evidence. Ultimately, then the evidence is not correct. They say, well, I didn't look at the data. My secretary collected the data and the data was wrong or something like that. That's the explanation you give. But we don't say reductionist science doesn't have evidence. We say evidence-based science. What is the evidence? That's why I've got a nice slide. All our evidence is surrogate evidence. If you want to say world is warming, I can get you a slide to show how the ladies' underwear has been becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller in the last 200 years. Have you seen that? 18th century England, if you see, the underwear used to come up to this. And it's come now almost invisible. That stage it has come to. Naturally, the world is warming, very, very hot. So this is the kind of evidence we have. Supposing, let us say, God forbid, one of us has cancer. We go to the doctor. What do? They do a biopsy of that cancer, right? And then take the cells, put in the glass slide, smear them correctly, squeeze them out, and then poison with hematoxin and eosin, and then completely kill the cell, and look under the electron microscope, this microscope, that microscope. What is looking at? Tombstone of the dead cells. Albert Szent-Györgyi, a brilliant Nobel laureate biologist, wrote a book way back in 1960s called Introduction to Submolecular Biology. I don't know how many of you read that book. It's a fascinating book, almost an epoch-making book, where he says, I quote, I don't know what cancer is. I'm not saying that. Albert Szent-Györgyi was saying that in 1960. I don't know what cancer is, because cancer cells are like working like normal cells. Absolutely normal cells. And I can't say what the cancer does by looking at the tombstone of the cell. They may look abnormal cells because they are squeezed out and distorted and stained and all kinds of things happen. But they are normal cells. They work like normal cells. And I don't know how to kill them without killing the other normal cells. Right? Agree. Now, if you know, I give you an analogy to a student. Supposing a bird comes in here, let us say. Bhushan was telling me sparrows are very few in Pune. Supposing a sparrow comes in here. You want to know why did the sparrow come here? Where did it come from? Where it intends to go in future? And what is it here for? What are we doing in regeneration? Catch hold of the sparrow, cut it, take a few cells, under the microscope, look at it, and then predict all about that sparrow, right? That's exactly what we are doing about cancer. Do you know what cancer is by looking at that biopsy bit? No. Do you know what will happen to the cancer by looking at the biopsy bit? But we have been predicting the unpredictable future of man. Every day we have been doing it. You want to know exactly how bad the science is? Any curious student here? Write down, I'll give you the reference. Students, Bhushan's 20 students, where are they? Hands up. Okay, write down. The author's name is Firth, W.J. William John Firth, F-I-R-T-H. It is called Predicting the Unpredictable Future of Patients. The journal's name is British Medical Journal, BMJ. Then Vancouver style, 1991, semicolon, 303, colon, 1565. Please read this article. It's about 5-6 pages, very tough physics, but at the end of it, you will realize how foolish we have been. A patient comes to me, let us say, he has some fever. I'll simplify it. And he wants to know, tomorrow he has got to go for a lecture in Bhushan's laboratory. So he asked the doctor, Doctor, will I be all right tomorrow for the lecture? Doctor says, yeah, take this tablet 3 times a day and you will be okay. The doctor doesn't know what the fever is. Of course, he very pontificates like his physician. This is a viral fever. He has not seen the virus. But if you told the doctor in the olden days, when I was a child, we used to say, smallpox is due to the wrath of the goddess. And today they say, hey, well, the old fellows didn't know anything. They were also rational. There's a cause, there's an effect. Today's professor comes for rounds and says, oh, this is viral fever? Yes. Students agree, yes sir, yes sir. Nobody sees the virus. Now all of you say H1n1 virus, right? Right? Pune, it came, he came here, there. This is called the medical scare system, The minute you say H1n1, you piss in your pants. Because he say it dies, people die. They created this scare in 2009 to sell a drug which was not selling. It's called Zadavidine. So what did they, Tamiflu they call it, Tamiflu. This company which was manufacturing Tamiflu and had the world right for marketing it is the company which made this test, which is called H1n1 test. You go to the laboratory and get a test done. It has not been authenticated by any independent agency. It has not come from anybody. It has come from the company. So the specificity and sensitivity of the test is less than 50%, which means whether it is positive or negative, it doesn't mean at all. Actually, you will be surprised. In 2009, everybody said, everybody put on that mask and all. If you put on a mask and go, it is bad for you, not for the others anyway. Others, nothing happens because flu doesn't jump like that. You catch a cold, you catch a virus. It goes by this handle. Your mobile phone is the most dangerous, or bus handle, door knobs. But if you have a brass knob, it's good because the virus doesn't live long there. Brass knob kills the virus so fast. Or if you have coconut oil in your hands, the virus dies in seconds. So these viruses are caught. So you don't have to put a, I see a lot of these people in the plane putting on that. I said, what are you having some bad disease? You don't want to give it to us? No, I am protecting myself from flu. I said, you are not protecting yourself from flu. You are protecting yourself from good oxygen around you. You are rebreathing the same air that you are taking. So after some time, you will carbon dioxide intoxication. That's all what happens. A lot of these policemen of course, the road is different. In the screening area in the airport, you must see that CASF fellow also has a, I tell those girls, please don't do that. Breathe normally. Nothing happens. Now coming down to that, in New Zealand, on an average every year, in the flu season, 15 to 17,000 people die. This is normal, every flu season. In America, about 36,000 people die. In India, we don't have statistics because our people die in the village, we're not accounted for. Only people who die in the hospital are accounted for. So that's not a reliable statistics. But that particular year, because everybody washed hands, remember that you don't want to catch a virus, wash your hands. Never touch your nose, your mouth, your eyes, or any part of your body where it's liable to get virus infection without washing your hands, because shaking hands is the worst thing that can happen. Ours is such a healthy system. Namaskaram. So nice. Two things happen. One, your humility shows. You bend and say namaskar. Humility is a sign of virtue and great education. Then number two, you don't touch another person's hands. The dirtiest part of the body is the hand. And the WHO taught us a very nice thing. When you do and hold this. And then that has millions of germs, you will just shake hands. No, you do this. It comes here, nobody touches there. And it doesn't touch anyone. By evening it is dead. 3-4 hours the virus is dead. So the best thing is, whenever you have to sneeze, whenever you have to cough, that's it. Anyway, New Zealand that year, because everybody washed hands, only 3,000 people died. So the scare of so-called non-existent H1 virus saved 15,000 lives in 1 year in a small country whose population may be little bigger than Pune, the whole country's population. And that was the scare that we produced. Anyway, the doctor who assisted the drug company to say that there is H1n1 virus, his name is Dr. Osterhaus, a Swedish doctor, who is now in jail. He is called Dr. Flu. He took $10,000 to create this myth called H1n1 virus. And the company made the thing and everything was done. And the WHO chairman or the chief of WHO connived with the drug company because she declared it as a pandemic. When once you declare it as a pandemic, every government has to buy nearly $750 million of drugs. Per force. And there is no criterion of pandemic at all. Pandemic means at a time 20,000, 25,000 people should die. Nothing else sort happened. Anyway, they have these periodic things to frighten us. That is why I have called it as medical scare system. You go to the doctor, the first thing they'll say is, are your father diabetic? Yes, doctor. Ha. When he says ha, that means you are half dead. Your father and you have nothing in common with two of you. You are not your father's child. That's again Indian philosophy. It says, children don't belong to you, they have come through you. Absolutely right scientifically. Because you are the children of germs. We are all children of germs. In every genome, for 23,000 human genes, you have got 2.5 trillion germ genes. Which means, you imagine the contribution of parents, 23,000 divided by 2.5 trillion. My mathematics is not good. It will not be 1 in a million. You may have some features of your father or mother or something like that. But what is evolution is environment. If you live like your father, you follow what your father did, you smoke like your father, you eat like a pig like your father, and drink like a fish, not what the fish drinks, you will certainly get what the father had. In short, evolution is environmental and not genetic. Let's forget the genes for a minute. Today we know with your mind you can change your genes also. You just do real meditation, you can even increase the size of the telomere at the end of the chromosome, which is the sign of your aging. When you age, the telomere becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. With meditation, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can change. Bhushan was talking about lifestyle diseases. Lifestyle diseases are lifestyle diseases. I'll tell you what happens. We were hunter-gatherers in the forest some 10,000 years ago before we came to Pune. And what were we doing there? We had to protect ourselves from tigers and lions, snakes, all kinds of things. Nature said, let people survive there also. So nature gave us an autonomic nervous system. If I said God, all of you will be angry because you don't believe in God now. And once you go to BSc level, you forget God. But do you know what Max Planck, the greatest physicist, said about God? God said, science ends in God, religion starts with God. That's all the difference. For religion, you must start with God, otherwise people don't follow you. For science, you go on science, you come to quantum physics, then you say, without God, nothing happens here. It doesn't run like a clock, what Newton and Einstein said. There's a different world altogether. Newton's world and Einstein's world is different from the real, what is called the quantum world view. I'll come to that later. Now anyway, so what did nature do? Gave you an autonomic nervous system to protect you. So the sympathetic system and this parasympathetic system. Now when you saw a tiger and you want to run away from the tiger to survive, so to run you require glucose, to run you require your blood pressure to go up, to run you require your heart rate to go up, to run you require energy. All this comes from the stimulation of the sympathetic system. You get adrenaline coming. When the adrenaline comes to the liver, nature has kept gunny bags of sugar in the liver called glycogen. So it stimulates the liver and neoglucogenesis, new sugar comes out. So you see the tiger there, your sugar goes up. Then you see the tiger you want to run, your blood pressure goes up because the adrenaline. Your heart rate goes up, chronotrophicity, everything goes up. And then you run for your life. And if you survive, all these things have come down. Now we have transplanted ourselves into society in the last 10,000 years, but our physiology is the same. We have tame tigers now in the form of human beings. It may be your boss who is a tiger, it may be your wife who is a tiger, it may be your husband who is a tiger, it may be your junior colleague who is a tiger, it may be the peon in the principal's office who is a tiger. Now when you see that tiger, the same reaction occurs inside, but you can't run away from the tiger. Supposing your wife is a tiger, how can you run away from the wife? So your blood pressure goes up and you stand there and watch there and your blood pressure goes up and up and up. After some time it is up. That is what is called high blood pressure. Your sugar is up, that's called diabetes. Your cholesterol is up because cholesterol is not a disease, but cholesterol has to go up because cholesterol is the base of all other steroids that are needed for your stress. So all these are diseases. Now what do we do in reductionist science? I give you a pill, a chemical poison. I tell you what these are. And then what happens? You are happy. I have taken the pill. I have taken it from Dr. Bhushan, who is a very good doctor. Your blood pressure comes down. Why does the blood pressure come down? One scientist tried to find out. What did he do? He had a chip made. It's called the MIT chip, mitochondrial chip. And this chip can track the drug. If you tag it on, wherever the drug goes, it tags it. So he gives the drug, tags it onto the chip, and then follows it. And he found that every reductionist chemical drug that he used was accepted first, goes into the stomach. The body's wisdom says, oh, this I have not seen it. My forefathers have not seen it. My generation has not seen it. It must be a poison. So it must be eliminated, goes to the river. So every drug that you take from A to Z first goes to the liver and the liver tries to destroy it. That is why after every drug, 24 hours to 48 hours later, you do your liver function test, it's altered. Then sometimes the liver cannot destroy the whole thing. Some of it comes out, which is called first pass effect. This first pass effect was known to us even when I was a pharmacology student. But our professors didn't know what is first pass effect. Now we know what it is. Now then what we do, that is not enough. So we now know pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics. So we give more dose, more drug. And all these do what is called adverse drug reactions, ADR. So mind you, every drug has an adverse drug reaction. Every drug may not be useful to you, but every drug has an adverse drug reaction. That's why I coined this phrase, while there is no pill for every ill, there is an ill following every pill. It's absolutely true. It's out of experience, long experience I have said, for every pill there is an ill. So I tell doctors, tell the patient before you give a tablet, two things, A, N and T, B, ADR. N and T is number needed to treat because all our drugs are statistically significant. Not useful for everybody that you give. Supposing I give you a drug like statin, let us say. The N and T is 300, which means 1 in 300 people whom I prescribe statin will get benefit. So some of us, are fanatics. They say, okay, 1 in 300 chance I'll get benefit out of statin, I'll take it. Then tell him what is the ADR risk? 5%. That means 299 people who take the drug unnecessarily have 5% risk of almost dying. So now look at the whole balance. 1 patient gets benefit, 299 don't get benefit. 6 into 299 is about 18, 17 people. 17 people die.